Hi, everybody. This is Jim Cornette, pro wrestling legend, and you're listening to the Book in the Territory Unprofessional Wrestling Podcast.
Woo, Messi, this is professional wrestler Jimmy Valiant, the Boogie Woogie Man. Tell my people and my brothers and sisters, don't you dare miss Booking the Territory. Oh, yeah.
This is the one-man gang. You're listening to Booking the Territory Pro Wrestling Podcast.
This is the artist formerly known as Daryl Van Horn, James Mitchell, the Sinister Minister, and I'm here to let you know I would rather slam my cock in a car door than to miss the dulcet tones of Hard Body Harper, my illegitimate son, on Booking the Territory podcast.
Welcome back, everyone, to this week's episode of Booking the Territory, the unprofessional wrestling podcast, where today we're doing Starrcade 1987 Part 1, and then I've got Part 2 with my conversation with Les Thatcher coming up later in the show. So we are sitting here. It's November 26, 1987. I got Doc and Hard Body Harper on the line.
Hey.
Harper, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I just watched me some Starrcade.
Are you feeling better since Mardi Gras over with?
Fuck, bro. Yeah, mine won't officially be over till fucking tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Well, that sucks.
Yeah, it does suck. It fucking sucks bad.
Because you've been working your ass off, right?
Yes.
I hear that, man.
It's still happening.
Great.
You see any titties?
Okay.
No.
Here we go.
I saw a lot of fucking puke all over the goddamn street. Fuck.
That's nice. Doc,
Just
you're on
saying.
the moon. Doc, you're on the moon. What's going on this week, man?
Still on the moon. You know, I was on the moon for our Raw watch-along the other night where Malonis and I had to put up with you. Harper, we did a watch-along with Raw on Monday night, and Mike was the most disinterested piece of lump of shit I've ever heard in my life.
I wonder why.
Dude, I tried to at least talk about Raw. He wanted to talk about anything but Raw. And then just was like, nah, I'm done. Let's turn it off.
Harper,
that's nice.
If you haven't seen it when it got on YouTube, because we YouTube lived it. We went live. How long do you think we went, if you haven't already seen it?
An hour?
Well, okay, so hold on. Brian Malonis from the Wrestling Podcast About Nothing came on and spent an hour where we did not talk about the product once. So we sort of just ran the ball for an hour and did ball control.
That's nice.
That was smart, if you ask me.
We were taking the air out of the ball. They were running some clock.
Yeah, we were definitely running some clock. That's for sure. All right, so let's get ready to get into this thing, man. First off, special shout out to the largest patron contributors we have monthly, Hall of Fame patrons, Disrespectfully Classy, Marquis Blassie, at K_Row86, and Mike Childry. And then we got a Doc-A-Holic Spotlight of the week, but I don't know if Doc wants to go there first, so I'm going to throw it to Doc because I really want to see what you got, because I think you got something, but we got a big spotlight from ESPN.
Well, yeah, but first, and because I'm a respectful son of a bitch, don't we need to do some RIP for King Kong Bundy, my friend?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I was going to do that. I just didn't know if you wanted to start things off with a somber tone.
I like to start on a downer. I'm not afraid.
All right. Well, we do need a RIP King Kong Bundy. We definitely need to do that. So you want to take the reins there?
Man. Well, he was the first member of Devastation Incorporated, was he not?
I actually need to look that up. I mean, he was there at the beginning.
You got to look it up.
Well, I don't know if he's officially like the first member.
What the fuck?
Because I mean, Akbar is Devastation Inc. So
I might be on the moon. I might be on the moon, but Harper, we're dealing with amateur hour over here in the ghetto.
Jesus Christ.
Well, I mean, wouldn't Akbar technically be the first member if he's the one who organized it?
Yeah, but he's just some.
Oh yeah, but
if he doesn't have a wrestler,
right? He's not a wrestler though.
So I'm gonna throw something that I bet y'all don't even remember, and y'all reviewed this with me. Was the fact that
he had hair.
Not only did he have hair in early '82 in World Class, but Bundy was a part of the Ric Flair, Kerry Von Erich angle that ended, well, I don't say ended, but that ignited even further.
Yeah, because they showed him cutting that promo. What, he like eating an apple or some shit?
Chicken wing, asshole. Do you remember the story, though?
Yeah.
No, you don't. What was it?
He got involved in the angle with Ric Flair and Kerry.
You don't know the specifics about the check and the bounty put on Kerry, and Gary Hart was involved, and Bundy was with Gary Hart. Anyway, Bundy was a big part of that.
Something about he hit Kerry so hard that Kerry flew up in the cloud.
No, nothing like that. Anyway, Bundy had a long career. I don't say long, but he had a nice career before.
He was on Married with Children at one point and wrestled Bud Bundy. And I'm pretty sure for Harper was your exposure to him fighting Hogan?
I remember that in WrestleMania 2. I remember in WrestleMania 3 when it was him and a couple of heel midgets versus Hillbilly Jim and the fucking good guy midgets, and the little midget was fucking down, right? I remember watching this thing.
Wait. The little midget had Down syndrome?
That's nice.
He's already down close to the ground, but
he's so down. He's got Down syndrome. That's fucked up.
A slow cooker.
So
keep going, Harper. Doc is an asshole who's going to hell.
And he's going to do the splash to him. I remember thinking, this is so fucked up because it's not fair. Because this fucking King Kong Bundy and this fucking little fucking midget, and he's going to fucking kill him. And there's no way he's going to do it. All right, there's just no fucking way. Wrong. He fucking gave him the fucking splash, the fucking little beaver. And I was like, he fucking just killed this guy on fucking TV. What the fuck?
That's like a human being stepping on a rope.
Do you think that was the first time that King Kong Bundy bruised a little beaver?
That's nice. Oh man. Anyway, I remember
that's kind of a far fall in 1 year to go from wrestling Hogan to splashing midgets.
Yeah, because remember, then he did that fucking commercial, the computer commercial. And
I always thought he got paid pretty good on that.
Yeah, and he didn't tell Vince about it, and that's what pissed off Vince, and that's when he hit the road.
Oh well, made his money. I know that much.
Yeah, and then he came back in the mid '90s, and he was part of the Ted DiBiase's group, and he didn't really do much.
Well, R.I.P. King Kong Bundy. That one came out of left field, man. I just woke up that morning and saw the R.I.P. and I was like,
I guess he had a heart attack or something, huh?
I didn't. As of us recording this, I didn't even look. I just that would make sense. Is how you didn't hear about him being ill or anything.
No.
Oh well, let's move on. I hate to do that, but R.I.P. King Kong Bundy. Doc-A-Holic Spotlight time. You got a good one for us.
Well, I heard this week that we have been called in to do what Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless, and thousands of others who have tried have not been able to do, and that is save a failing ESPN. So I'm going to put ESPN in the spotlight because we were referenced in an ESPN article, were we not, Mike?
You are correct, sir.
You hear about that, Harper?
Yeah, I saw that. You shared it, didn't you, Mike?
Yeah,
it's the worldwide lead. Are we now the worldwide leader?
Done it.
Well, we saving jobs at ESPN, man. ESPN's counting on us. But anyway, so the guy who posted it, Greg Wyshynski, I think is his name. He's a hockey guy, and I was looking up something because I was gonna post, which I did last week. By the time you hear this, I was gonna post the full Wild Bill Irwin interview from like 2 years ago. God, it doesn't even seem that long he was on, but he was on 2 years ago.
Bullshit. You were Googling yourself again, weren't you?
No.
Getting mad that REM comes up every time you Google yourself.
Yeah,
I was Googling Wild Bill to get like a thumbnail pic so I could upload it with the episode. And when I Googled it and I clicked on images, it showed Wild Bill ESPN. So I like clicked on it and the article popped up that, this Greg person decided to reference the interview that Wild Bill did on BTT 2 years ago. Now the article was from a year ago, and he literally took clips or posted verbatim Wild Bill's answers in the article. So there you go. We're making history, baby. We're on ESPN.
I want to make out with Linda Cohn or Coon or whatever her name is. Yeah.
She don't do nothing.
What would Michelle Tafoya have to say about that?
Oh God, I forgot about her. That's only during football season.
You got a thing for her still, Harper?
Yeah. I guess, yeah.
She don't do nothing for me either.
I wouldn't kick her out the bed.
You're too busy drooling over Sage Steele, huh?
She all right.
Who's that?
Kinda, ESPN. Like she does the.
Was Jameel Hill? Was Jameel Hill your girl?
Nah.
Well, she's gone, huh?
She's working for the Atlantic now.
For being a short, bald, ugly motherfucker, you sure got some high standards.
Okay, Baron Corbin. Harper, you've never seen Doc, but I was telling the people on YouTube Live the other night, Doc looks like Baron Corbin, except with hair.
Yeah.
Hey.
He's almost built like him, except, not really, but, he's a little bit more pudgier than Baron, but yeah, he kind of looks like Baron Corbin. No facial hair, but has hair on his head. There you go. That's how Doc looks, everyone.
I look like Baron Corbin except for everything.
So,
You're
Doc,
a fucking asshole.
That's nice of you to say. You want to mention anything else related to the ESPN article?
I don't think so. I mean, when they need us to come help out again, I guess we'll be there.
Yeah, right. They treat us like they did Barstool Sports.
What did they do to Barstool Sports?
They were too risque for him.
Oh,
okay. which is true.
That's great.
Then I don't think we stand a chance.
You're right.
All right, well, we'll keep on moving. So thank you, Greg Wyshynski from ESPN, referencing BTT in our article or our conversation with Wild Bill. Shout out to Merciless Jones on Twitter, a.k.a. Richard Leslie. Richard is a BTT Hall of Fame patron, has been so for nearly a year now. Thanks, Richard, for all your support, and enjoy Patreon since you made the move there. You get all those video reviews along with the world-class reviews and everything there. And then also welcome to new patron members, Amp Williams, Brian Kinnerson, and Big Tank 760. Actually, Big Tank, you moved over from Podbean, I believe. So thanks for signing up. Enjoy all the new content, the world-class shows, and everything else that is put up on the Patreon link. Now, are y'all ready to get into some Starrcade 1987 Part 1? We're going to do the first half tonight, guys.
All right.
I got one more thing I need to bring up. Harper, you won't believe what this asshole said on the Raw watch-along the other night.
What do you say?
Jesus. He put it out there that he's willing to sponsor another show watching the current product.
Oh, God. You fucking crazy, bro. You just butchering yourself.
Because let me tell you about that Raw episode we just watched. That shit better become a cult classic because it's a collector's item because it's one in a series of one. And much like the broads of BTT, it ain't ever happening again. I was crushing up no-dos and snorting them and sticking them up my ass like a suppository trying to stay awake. Fuck that.
That's nice.
We did get a request, man. People want live shows. They want us to do live because they can interact with us.
Well, fuck that.
So we can be all the way live?
All the way live, baby.
I'd actually consider it if YouTube would lift the goddamn governor they have on the YouTube account that we have with the freaking, I don't want to get into it, but let me just say this. It would actually be a good idea if YouTube wasn't a bunch of assholes.
Well, how will they interact? They would just throw the questions up?
You got
like on Facebook Live?
Yeah, it's like there's a live chat sidebar on the right. So like, you know, we had a bunch of people on and they were asking questions, like they were asking Malona's questions and throwing questions at us, and like we did a test one on Saturday, and Doc and I went 45 minutes just answering questions, man. So it's actually kind of cool to do. Dude, I can only see you, Harper. Somebody asking you questions. Oh my God, the train wreck that would ensue. We should do it once a month. Ask Harper. Oh man. All right. Anyway, so we did, but I mean, it is a cool concept, but YouTube's just their whole monetization thing. They got to get that. They got to work that shit out with small time folks like us, man.
They got to share the riches with the people.
They really do.
You got to share the riches with the bitches. Come on now.
Wow, that's nice. All right. Anything else? Anything else, Doc?
Man, let's get to Chi-Town Heat, Rumble, whatever this is.
I'm with you on that. So we are in Chicago for Starrcade 1987 Chi-Town Heat, and let's see. We got I looked up some things as we're getting started here. We got 8,000 people who are reported in attendance, and that's according to Wikipedia. And you know, Wikipedia tells the truth, so
yeah,
take that for what it's worth, right?
I did some looking too, and I believe this arena held 9,500.
Yeah, so doesn't that seem kind of small to have something like Starrcade at?
Well, that's what happens when you go outside your territory to try to run a big show.
I looked it up. It's basically like their version of the UNO Lakefront Arena. And
well, they did a show there too that night.
Yeah, and then I was thinking, man, it's a small little building for, you know, this is your flagship show. This is your Super Bowl.
You combine that with the fact that Vince pretty much killed the pay-per-view receipts, and maybe this is the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
Doc, aren't you the guy that a month and a half ago, when this was announced, you're like, I don't know, I don't think it matters if it's in Chicago. It don't matter. So what?
I think that the most important real estate premise out there is location, 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 pal. What are you talking about?
Okay, and you said it didn't matter that it was in Chicago, but now you're going to say it. So, Harper, you're absolutely right. I mean, this building is kind of like the UNO Lakefront Arena in New Orleans in that's about the capacity of UNO.
Yeah,
actually,
because at the time, this was called the UIC Pavilion, which is the University of Illinois of Chicago. That's where they would, I guess, play their basketball games. So that's what UNO is. Yeah.
So I mean, it's basically almost equivalent size, and I mean, we went to ROH last year there, but I mean, let's be real. You and I have been to wrestling a few times in Lakefront Arena, and I mean, when it's full, it's a nice venue, and it can get loud. But
I've been to fucking house shows there, though.
Yeah, no, me too.
Starrcade.
Right. Well, I think the biggest show I probably was at there would be ROH last year, and I went to. We had free tickets to like an ECW pay-per-view there in like '99, maybe.
That was November to Remember.
Yeah, that one. So, and I don't remember that one being. That building was not full that night.
No.
So anyway, you're right, Harper. A smaller building. We're out of Atlanta and Greensboro, which makes no sense to me. I will, especially Greensboro. Let me make that point. I just don't understand why we had to go to Chicago for this, but so be it. Whatever. And we kick off this show, and it is a 6-man tag match. We got Sting, Michael Hayes, and Jimmy Garvin on one side with Precious.
Man, old Sting.
Go ahead, sing it, Harper. Man,
called Sting. Yeah.
Doc was hyped for this one.
Well, I'll just say that the highlight of Sting's career ought to be that he got to come out to the Bad Street song.
Okay. Well, they are taking on Larry Zbyszko with Baby Doll, along with Rick Steiner and Eddie Gilbert. Now, I should ask y'all this pre-show, but let me just, do y'all want it to be, I'll run down what happened and then y'all kind of give y'all thoughts after I give the results. Make it easy.
Well, I got a couple of pre-match things, and also just to reset, because I believe I did this 2 years ago for Starrcade 85. I did go in and get everybody that we're going to see in a match. I got their age, so we can go through that at the end of the match if you'd like.
Jesus,
but
Christ,
I pulled
a
everybody.
lot of work.
I pulled everybody's age for this one. Before the match, there's that goddamn scaffold again. Ugh.
Well, we'll talk about that in a second, but they take it down after this. Thank fucking God.
Yeah.
Well, after that scaffold match.
I was wondering why that fucking promo was going so long with fucking Jimmy Garvin.
Right. I'm going to play it just because of that. We're going to talk
that
about
motherfucker
that
that motherfucker was trying to filibuster major legislation.
He was.
And,
all right.
And also in the first match, and I feel like they went and got some people and moved them into the hard camera view because there were a lot of empty seats at the beginning.
Yeah. I was hoping maybe people were just getting there late.
That's what I thought.
We got a late arriving crowd.
Yeah. Yeah, it looked
a long drive. It's a long drive in from Greensboro, North Carolina. So
now it did fill up by the time the match ended.
Right.
It was pretty full. But I agree, it was quite empty, Doc, at the start of the match. So all right. So midway through the match, like I said, it fills up. Towards the finish, it breaks down into a 6-way with all the guys fighting. Hayes had Zbyszko pinned, but Zbyszko got his foot on a rope. Hayes then had Zbyszko in a sleeper hold, but Hot Stuff hits Hayes in the back of the head to break the hold. Steiner tags in and has Hayes in a bear hug and then a belly-to-belly that Hayes kicks out of. Hayes small packages Gilbert near the end, but Gilbert kicks out. We get another pin attempt on Gilbert at the end that looked a little off and should have been counted but wasn't. And we have a time limit draw to start off the largest card of the year, the Super Bowl. Doc, your thoughts, and then we'll go to Harper.
Okay, so real early on, did you see Sting just all the early high spots? He's like did you see that? He had all the high spots early?
I did, yes.
Yeah, he's like a Young Bucks 1987.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Come on, Doc.
We did get JR give us It's Breaking Down during that Breaking Down segment that you mentioned just a minute ago. So that was some classic audio from JR.
Let me jump in. JR was good on commentary, I thought, throughout.
Oh, yeah, definitely. This is like in that 3-year window where JR's calling Southern wrestling on a big stage. Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
And I kind of get that. I kind of knew this was going. I didn't go back and look at results so that I'd be a little bit surprised. I kind of guessed this was going to a draw, but I was entertained. When you got 6 guys out there and the worst one's Sting, that's not bad. It's when Sting has to be the best guys that's the problem.
I think you have a secret crush on Sting because you're always talking
I told everybody. I told Malonis the other night the only person more overrated in the wrestling business than Hulk Hogan is Sting.
You did tell him that during our discussion with him. Harper, what'd you have from all this?
Fucking Rick Steiner looks like a fucking Marvel superhero. The fuck? It looks like someone fucking. It's like someone drew him. And,
he's got a good build during this time period.
He's got a perfect build.
Yeah.
And fucking, Michael P.S. Hayes knows how to get those motherfuckers to react to him.
He knows how to get eyes on him.
Yes, fucking moonwalking and the fucking pointing down at him and all that shit.
What they always used to say.
He was the star of all this.
They used to always say that about him in World Class, though. He might not have been like the great technician, but that sumbitch had charisma and that rap and that flow, and yeah, he knew how to get the people involved, man. They'd react to him. That's for damn sure. Harper, anything else from it?
Nah, just it with that fucking draw. What that ref was like 1, 2. Fuck it. Yeah.
I'm watching the replay right now on the Patreon video, and he's just like, Yeah, it let's just say it wasn't well coordinated. You know what I'm saying? Good God. All right, so Tony Schiavone and
do you want the ages of our participants?
Go ahead, give him real quick. That's fine.
So who do you think's the oldest guy in the match?
Larry Zbyszko.
He's one of two.
Wow.
Jimmy Garvin.
Zbyszko and Garvin?
Yeah. Zbyszko and Garvin are both 35.
Okay.
And they're the old men in the match by a mile.
Right, because Sting and Eddie and Steiner are young, right?
Would it surprise you that Michael Hayes and Sting are the same age?
Wow. Yeah.
A little, because of how much earlier Michael Hayes got started in the business.
Right. So they're both 28.
Wow.
Gilbert's 26.
Damn.
God.
And his forehead's already all fucked up.
Well, Gilbert doesn't live to be 34, so I mean he had to be young, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah, he
Steiner
died real early.
And Steiner's 26. Now, I challenge you to think of any 26-year-old you could get your hands on right now and what you would trust them to do in life. And these guys are out there at Starrcade.
Opening match. Well, I mean, Michael Hayes was main event in the Superdome, 19 years old.
That's crazy, huh?
I can't remember his exact age, but he was very, very young, 20 years old, something like that.
Yeah.
So the thing of it is that what we see, I just want to mention that for everything that could be going wrong in this promotion, with botching the UWF, taking Starrcade to the out of state, all these events just mangling their pay-per-view, you're going to keep hearing how young the talent is in this first half of the card.
They are young, that's for sure. All right, we'll keep going because we're going to have Tony Schiavone and Jim Ross cut in before the next match, and then they throw it to Missy Hyatt. So here it is.
So there you have it, a time limit draw in our first event. Hi once again, everybody. Jim Ross and I are working here today along with Jack Gregory, Magnum TA, Bob Cottle, and the beautiful Missy Hyatt. Jim Ross?
No doubt about it. I think of that last match, we just ran out a little bit of time there. I think as far as the team of Hayes, Garvin, and Sting were concerned, it was a great opening contest here at Starrcade 87.
Okay, Missy Hyatt is down near the dressing rooms. Let's go to Missy Hyatt at this time.
Watch out, Harper.
I'm Missy Hyatt, and I want to personally welcome everybody to Starrcade 87. And there is so much excitement going on around here. I'm sure everyone that's at home, and if you're viewing at closed circuit, I'm sure you can feel the excitement there. We've already seen one great match, and we have got so many more. You're going to be seeing Ric Flair and Ronnie Garvin going up again, and we're going to be seeing a whole lot more. So let's go back to Tony and Jim.
Okay, Missy, thank you very much. You're right. We are only one match into Starrcade, and as you said earlier, we have 5 titles on the line here today. One of them, the UWF heavyweight title. Dr. Death Steve Williams defended against Barry Windham. Let's go to the ring.
All right. So, any thoughts, Harper, on Missy Hyatt right there?
Yum.
Is she all the way live?
Dude, she was so hot, bro. Jesus.
Looking good.
And she ended up banging the fucking brother from the Wonder Years. What a fucking dork.
Wow. that one made me hot.
Bischoff's buddy.
Yeah.
Doc, any thoughts about Missy right there?
All the way live.
Spank bank material for you back then?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No
Without a doubt.
What's Tony Schiavone
Without
say?
a doubt.
Without question.
and now she's fighting Union troops.
Oh, she does the Civil War.
In Charleston, or she's like defending Charleston or something.
Yeah, but that sounds bad until you realize how much better her life is than Sonny's.
Yeah,
son.
Yeah. Let's
true.
be real. Let's be real. She's doing better than some former people in the business.
Yeah, a lot of former people.
Right. She's one. Okay, one. She's alive. She
Right.
actually, you know,
That's a plus.
Has a job, and she, you know, she's no, seriously, that's definitely a plus. But you know, we're laughing here, but I mean, Missy might allegedly looks like she may have had some surgeries to her face, but she's alive. And well, I'm just saying, I hear people say that, and I'm like, well, do you know that for a fact? They go, oh, just look at her. I'm like, okay, I'm not a pro on plastic surgery, but okay. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about Missy present, but back then Missy was all the way live. Doc, any thoughts before we move on?
Well, I'm a little surprised that you like her, because I get why Harper, and she'd be right in that Heather Thomas, Heather Locklear wheelhouse. But what are you doing coming down White Street?
I mean, I didn't say that would be my first choice, but I mean, I'm gonna respect her and be like, damn girl, look here. What's happening, baby?
But you're in that period between Dark Journey and Miss Jackie showing up, so you got to do something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think who else there was back then. But yeah, you know, I mean,
for your people.
I mean, she's walking down the street in the 8th Ward in New Orleans. I'll be like, hey, girl, what's happening? I mean, want me to keep it real or what?
Christ, no wonder you were a virgin till you were 24.
Dork.
That's not true, but okay. Let's match up the second match. Oh, what? Go ahead, Harper. Get your dig in.
You were 25.
Not quite.
You remember your first blowjob?
Yes. Yes. That's his Patreon episode. Let me tell you, if there ever was one. It really is. Okay. Barry Windham is about to take on Dr. Death. Actually, he's already doing it on Patreon at tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. This one's for the UWF heavyweight title. That dubbed in music for both of them is the shits. Dr. Death and Barry shake hands with the ROH Code of Honor at the start of this match to show a ton of respect from each other. The crowd didn't seem too happy in the beginning, though. They went outside the ring. Almost felt like I heard a boring chant. But
yeah, that was at 20. That was at 25:55 because I have a note.
Okay, so Harper, did you hear that too?
Yes, this crowd was there. They were waiting for something to happen.
That just never happened.
It didn't come close to happening.
So I'm gonna ask Harper first this time, Doc, because Harper was telling me a while back, and then he told me again last week. He was like, "Man, I remember when Dr. Death, seeing Dr. Death and Barry was going to wrestle each other, and I was thinking, oh man, that ought to be good." But Harper, so you thought that beforehand, but then once you watched it, what's your overall assessment and thoughts on the match?
This was horrible.
Damn.
And I'm thinking maybe it was leading up to something, or because when a Dr. Death got hit in the nuts, I'm thinking, okay, this is when the handshake and shit stops and someone turns fucking heel. This is when Dr. Death gets pissed off. Fuck you, you hit me in the fucking nuts. And this is when he starts kicking the shit out of him. And it didn't happen. And it's just, and I'm hoping this, we're in fucking 2019, but I'm thinking, maybe this fucking leads to a feud or a rematch or something like that, or maybe, but it doesn't happen, right? This is it, huh?
Well, if you remember, Larry Zbyszko's already cutting promos on Barry Windham, and Barry Windham's already cutting promos on Zbyszko in the studio the week or 2 weeks before all this goes down. But I agree with you. This face versus face match at Starrcade with only one belt on the line was just a very weird dynamic, and I totally agree. You can watch the fans during the match. They're all just sitting there. I don't know if they were bored, but I agree. It was like they were kind of waiting on something. Something happened. Doc, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I thought because Dr. Death super sold his nut. I thought, man, that, like Harper said, that's going to be, look, man, we could be all friends till you hit me in the nuts. Then fuck you. So people did not like this.
Go, give us their ages, and then I'll talk about then I'll go through the finish, Doc.
Well, they are both the same age. These two gentlemen are very, very young.
25.
27.
Oh.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Hayes is 28, Sting is 28, Gilbert's 26, Steiner's 26, Dr. Death's 27, Wyndham's 27. But we've talked ad nauseum about the free fall of Barry Windham, but he went from taking Rick to the limit to losing to Dr. Death in less than 7 minutes.
Damn.
Mm-hmm.
So
There were people, I guarantee you, there were marks like you who in 1987 for real thought Wyndham was this close to winning the NWA Heavyweight Championship earlier in the year.
I mean,
now look at him.
It still bothers me almost. I don't say bothers me, but it's kind of nuts when you think about that match he had with Flair. We sat there and reviewed it. I mean, they went. We only got like
A+.
And we only got like 40 minutes of it, if I recall correctly. But they went balls to the wall, and it's incredible. And then now he's been having this Western States Heritage for a while, and he's in this match. He's young with Dr. Death. I'm actually watching right now to transition a little bit when Dr. Death does take the nut shot. And Harper's right. It's like you're waiting for something to happen because the nut shot took place, but nothing ever happens. Doc tried to take the leapfrog, and as Doc takes the inadvertent headbutt from Wyndham. And what was weird was Wyndham didn't go on the attack, though, as Dr. Death sells the groin, and then they go straight from that to a side headlock takeover. And as they got near the end, Barry attempts to hit a crossbody to Dr. Death, and Wyndham flies over the top rope and takes a bad spill. As Wyndham came into the ring, Dr. Death catches Wyndham and rolls him up into a small package, and the crowd literally was like, "Gah," and there was no reaction. Yeah. Dr. Death wins. Remember, the Western States Heritage is not on the line. Doc wins, so he retains the UWF, but, I mean, literally nothing else.
I was watching it. I was like, well, maybe it was 2 out of 3 falls, and that's why they had this fucking match. But then I see he takes the belt, then he leaves. I'm like, fuck, all right, never mind.
Yep.
And the problem here is both of these guys deserve a lot better.
This was just like bad to put them against each other in this match. I mean, just it had no point to it. I mean, I know the UWF title was on the line, but babyface versus babyface, I don't know, man. You know, and we like both of these guys. That's the thing. It's like,
yeah, and that's the biggest problem is I like both of these guys and wanted better for each one of them.
Yep. So Doc wins, and that's it. So, all right. Harper, any other thoughts on that match before we move forward? Doc, you?
Nope.
No, we talked about it longer than it lasted.
Actually, You're right. We watched. Again, I got it up on Patreon, and the video. It literally, the match just ended, and Doc got his hand raised, and he's grabbing a belt or about to grab the belt and walk out. So we'll go to the
Doc
next
always
one.
gets his Doc. Let me tell you, Doc always gets his hand raised, pal.
Dr. Death, you mean? Oh, yeah, of course. You? No. Hey, Harper, it's funny. Mrs. Doc LaFonda made a run-in on our live show the other night or Saturday when we were recording. Yeah, it was pretty cool, man. I mean, the BTT Army really saw who wore the pants in that relationship that night.
That's nice.
They really saw it. What's funny is I laugh because there's a number of people out there who actually think my wife's name is Sasha, which that always tickles me a little bit because Doc says it. So LaFonda and Doc. I mean LaFonda and Sasha. All right, let's keep it moving. the Rock and Roll Express versus the Midnight Express in a scaffold match. And before we even start the match, to me, you can certainly see that the scaffold this year is definitely lower than the one from last year. And Cornette actually has confirmed that to me. Cornette has said it was lower. None of them were as high as Starrcade 86, the Skywalker match then. So your thoughts, Doc, you first. You said yes. You agree?
Oh, it was easily visible that thing they'd cut a few rungs out of that one. I was just wondering if Bobby Eaton was like, man, I don't want to do the scaffold match. And Stan was excited because he's like, no, man. You get a better view of all the rats up in the back from up here. I can see the bitches better.
I get a bird's eye view from up here, pal. Stan. Old Stan. Stanfield Lane.
But, we get into the match, and Gibson is the first one busted open, which is a little odd. Then Eaton got busted open. And I don't care how many times I watch them or how low they are. I look at that scaffold shit, and I'm like, not a chance.
Yeah, I'm not doing it.
It doesn't look that high. I mean, because when you think about it, when they're hanging there, from the bottom of their feet to the ground, it's probably about 10 feet to 8 feet.
This scaffold during this year, you're absolutely correct. It's not a long drop. I totally agree. I wouldn't want to fall from it uncontrolled, but if you're hanging from the rung of it, if you take it right, take the bump. I mean, if you took a back bump, it would probably be the best way to take it. But I agree. This one wasn't too bad, but I'm with Doc. I feel like if I never see a scaffold match again, I'm fine. I didn't mind it at Starrcade 86. I liked it, actually. But right here, it's just like, all right, we did this already, man. Somebody's going to die on this, falling off this shit. I don't know if I want to see it.
I agree, but if you can, my thought on that is if you could separate them in your mind, I actually thought this one was better than 86. It just wasn't the first one that we saw in the promotion.
I don't know if one is better than the other. I think because if you're talking about I know they did scaffold matches before NWA Jim Crockett Promotions, but my point is if you're talking about JCP, I thought last year's was better. But again,
man, did you see Gibson rip off that pole and go after him with it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Gibson's busted open too. They threw salt in Morton's eyes and
fucking Bubba got up there.
Yeah. So let me go. We saw some of what I'm about to explain, but so the Rock and Roll hit was in control. Bobby Eaton brings out the powder. I guess Morton got the powder, but the camera work was so bad you never see it. Eaton and Gibson get busted open. Stan and Morton are the actual first two to leave the main part of the scaffold. Stan then falls off from underneath. Beautiful Bobby is next, and the Rock and Roll win the match. They actually, unlike the previous match, they got a nice little pop when they won. But I will. Cornette orders. Well, let me say this: Cornette orders Bubba to go after Ricky and Robert on the top of the scaffold. Ricky escapes though after hitting Bubba with a low blow. Rock and Roll get down off the scaffold. Now that I think about it, was, and now that I think about it, Doc,
Bubba gets up there, dude, and he fucking just stares him down. He takes the hat off, then he takes the jacket off, then he takes the fucking suspenders off. Like, oh fuck, what's he gonna do? Hits him in the nuts and runs.
Harper, did you think this one was better than last year's?
Well, the last one we saw Cornette get all fucked up, so you got to see the heel manager finally kind of get his.
Literally.
Right.
Because he really fucked his knee up.
Yeah. So I would think the first one was a better with the Road Warriors.
Doc, what other thoughts you have about this as we're getting to the end of it?
Well, the reason I say that is like you got Hawk and Animal. Why don't they just reach over there and snatch those dudes and toss them off? When you got the Rock and Roll, who are great workers in that sense, they're about the same size as the Midnight, so it seems more reasonable that they would struggle with one another to not get thrown off.
No, there's something to that because they're more equivalent in size. You're right. See, the thing was the visual with Hawk and Animal when they climbed that scaffold, and you remember like Animal climbed up there and he's like, like the fucking crowd went ape shit on their entrance, which I know they always do because of that Road Warrior pop. But my point is like, they just went absolutely crazy, which was just that made it a huge spectacle to me when the Road Warriors did that. But I mean, I kind of see your point. You got a much more comparable teams here that are doing battle. So I'm watching it now, and Stan is getting ready to take his fall. Hey,
Stan was like, dude, let me go do some monkey bars across. Like that was gonna work.
Right, he's gonna get away from Ricky Morton, who's pushing him, and then Stan fell. That Stan's fall, I just saw it. It's nothing compared to last year. I mean, it's almost. Yeah. You're right, Harper. It's almost like when they're sitting there hanging. I mean, their feet are almost at the same level as the top rope. So
exactly. So it's not that bad of a fall at all.
It's like jumping off the top rope. It's basically what it is. But again, decent match. I'd say it's probably one of the better scaffold matches. I still like last year a little more. But Doc, any other thoughts on it?
I'd be happy to report some ages for you if you'd like.
Yeah. What you got?
Who do you think's your oldest competitor here?
Robert.
Bobby Eaton.
Stan Lane.
Oh.
Wow. And if you look at him today, he definitely looks the youngest of all of them.
Stanfield's 34.
Oh, shit.
Damn.
Morton is next.
What's
Morton is next at 31.
Wow. Okay, keep going.
Gibson is 29. And Eaton is 29.
Shit. And I said Eaton was the oldest. Holy shit.
All this young talent.
Damn, so Stan's like in his early to mid 60s.
Yeah.
Have you seen pictures of him lately?
Yeah.
He looks good, man.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, he looks good, man. He's a good looking dude.
Wow.
In great shape. I'm watching Bubba as he climbed up there and threw the hats off and jacket, going after Morton.
You seen fucking stuff. You seen Predator, right?
Yeah.
You see.
Yes.
That reminds me of the part when the guy Billy, the fucking Indian, when he's on the fucking tree, and he takes his rifle and he throws it into the water. Then he takes off his fucking vest and he throws it off in the water, and he pulls out that big ass knife and he cuts himself across the chest, and he goes to take on the fucking Predator. That's probably where they got that shit from, because that's exactly what the fuck he's doing.
What year was Predator?
Yeah,
the same year, 87. Because if you notice, he takes a tennis racket and he throws it down, then he throws the hat off and the jacket, just like in fucking Predator.
Okay, so Harper's on to something. June 12th, 1987 is the release date for the original Predator. I just looked it up.
Watch. Google that scene on fucking YouTube.
I will. That's incredible, though. I wouldn't have put it together, but this is just a few months later.
We should ask Corny sometime.
Predator is like my favorite fucking movie. I've seen 1,000 fucking times, and so yeah.
I love that movie. I'll ask him, Doc. I may send it to the drive-thru. Who knows?
You're gonna be one of those guys. So when I'm listening to it, I got a fucking Travis Hackle's gonna draw a fucking picture of a Bubba as fucking Billy from.
You should hear it. You should hear him at work. He went on that show one time on The Experience, and now it's like he's best friends with Jim Cornette.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fucking
no clue what you're talking about. All right, so I think we need to talk. We need this. There's not a lot of promos in this. We got one more match to do in part 1, but I got to play something for you guys. Here it is.
Is it a filibuster?
Jimmy Cornette down in the ring at this time having a tantrum, and I guess understandably so. What an exciting match, Jim Ross, to have.
It certainly was, and I want to go back and touch on just a moment, Tony, that UWF Heavyweight Championship matchup. You know, the fans saw Barry Windham give Dr. Death a few moments to get himself back together after that inadvertent low blow.
That's right.
Dr. Death did not give Barry Windham that opportunity, as he was I think, at a very desperate state to retain his championship. In any event, Dr. Death Steve Williams did retain the title, and we just saw one of the most exciting Skywalker matches in history.
Okay, as we said, Bob Cottle is with us here today. Bob is down near the dressing room with this special interview.
And right you are, Tony. We're here with the gorgeous Jimmy Garvin, precious Freebird Michael Hayes. Jimmy, what an event, what a day. It has already been, but I know you're disappointed that you didn't win the match.
Well, I'm not that disappointed now, Bob, because I didn't lose the match either. You know, we didn't win, we didn't lose, but it was a good contest. Michael Hayes, myself, and I, and Sting, we feel confident that we had a good, exciting match. And the fact is this, I'm just really excited on behalf of my squeezed, precious, and Michael Hayes, Bob. I'd like to tell all the fans that I'm just glad to be a part of Starrcade 87. It's the most exciting event in all wrestling history. I mean, the fact is, I get excited because I think about all the careers that are on the line tonight. I mean, we're just this far through it. There's a lot more action to come. And when I think about the guys like Dusty Rhodes right now that must be just a little bit nervous because just in a few minutes, he's going to put his career on the line. Then you got the Road Warriors against Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. And as far as I'm concerned about that, Bob, Michael Hayes and I are really concerned about that match because we want to challenge the winners of that match. It don't matter if it's the Road Warriors or if it's Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. Everybody knows, it's no secret. Squeeze and I and Michael, we've been talking about it. We want the World Tag Team titles. They're on our mind, and we're going to get them. My brother Ronnie, I get goosebumps up and down my back when I think about him. I love him to death, and I know if anything, this is his day. Starrcade 87 means a lot to everybody. Don't get me wrong, Bob. It means a lot to a lot of young careers. It means a lot to people that's been in this sport for many years. Myself, I'm just a proud with Michael and Squeeze to be a part of the National Wrestling Alliance and Jim Crockett and to be on the winning team in professional wrestling in the wide world today.
Takes a long time to take a scaffold down, guys.
Anybody's mind that the National Wrestling Alliance has the greatest wrestlers in the world. And my brother Ronnie Garvin is at the top of the pile. He is the world heavyweight champion. I'd like to predict too, Michael. I do want to predict that it's not my fault, ladies and gentlemen, when my brother Ronnie keeps the world heavyweight title and defeats Ric Flair, because nobody knows more than I do. And I've sat down and talked with my brother Ronnie for several hours about this. It means a lot to him because he did have a great match, there's no doubt, when he defeated Ric Flair in Detroit. Absolutely. But the talk is this, that match was nothing compared to the match that's going to happen later on. I'm telling you one thing, it's really going to be exciting. I'm going to be right here. In fact, I'd be on the front row if I could, but there's no seats left out there. In fact, ladies, there's no seats left anywhere, and it's going to be fantastic. I do predict my brother to win and keep his world heavyweight title. I do predict my buddy, that rascal Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream's not going to let the world down. He's not going to have to go into retirement. And the Road Warriors, Arn Anderson thing, you know how I feel about that. Jesus. And of course, Nikita Koloff and Terry Taylor. You can't forget about a match like that. There's two individuals fighting for the National Wrestling Alliance against the UWF. And of course, there's no question in anybody's mind, the greatest organization in the whole wide world, and we're very proud to be a part of it, is the National Wrestling Alliance. I know you're going to tell me my time's run out, but I'm going to tell you I'm finished talking and we got to go. So we'll see you later. Have a good evening.
And good luck to you. All right, let's bring in Dr. Death Steve Williams right here. And you saw that.
Doc, thoughts on Jimmy filibuster and some legislation?
Bro, that was like dealing with a wife, just rattling off a promo and not saying a damn thing.
That might be the best analogy I've ever heard from you on this show in 4 years.
But shit, man, I felt bad for Michael Hayes because he had to just stand back there and listen, man.
Why couldn't he talk for part of it to at least?
Yeah, really.
Right.
Put that shit in half.
Mike was back there. Michael Hayes looked like a guy who was going to appear for a court date and had to clean up for the night.
Yeah, yes, he did. No, Doc's not lying. He had a regular suit on, right, Harper?
Yeah, well, they got out the shower because his hair was all wet and slicked back. So they went and took a shower and they got dressed.
Yeah, but what did he get dressed in? I mean, that was a conservative get-up for a guy like that.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I meant. His suit wasn't outlandish at all. You'll never see him in something so simple.
You know what that
as he had
was?
on.
That was the rocker / dirtbag in the 80s that had to go to like a wedding or a church ceremony. Dude, I do a bunch of those guys.
Yeah, that's the guy that's like, hey, my buddy's kids, I'm the godfather to his kid. They gotta go to church on fucking Sunday. Fuck.
Nice.
So his hair would be wet and like combed back like that, and
smells like cigarettes.
Yeah.
So I wasn't gonna play it, but since Dr. Death comes out after Jimmy, and then he goes for like 2 minutes, and they're literally just taking a long ass break so they can get that goddamn scaffold out.
The one thing I do like about this is I remember as a kid watching a WWF pay-per-view. Fuck, it could have been WrestleMania 2 with the cage, and they had to set the cage up, and instead of showing anything, it just said intermission, and it was just them putting the cage up. There was no one talking. There was nothing. It just on the screen. You just watched them set the cage up, and it said intermission, and at least this gives you something to fucking look at.
I'd rather watch him put up the cage.
Yeah, because Harper, that may have been one of the first times they used the big blue cage. I can't remember. In my mind, I feel like that was the first time I saw it.
Yeah,
that may have been the first one of the first. Somebody out there will know that knows WWF history. But Doc, how do you feel about the blue cage?
That's the worst. That blue cage is worse than Hogan and Sting put together.
Oh, that's nice.
That's fucked up, man.
It is.
Why do you hate the blue cage?
Why do you hate the blue cage?
I don't hate it, but it's certainly not it's not a cage. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, we grew up on the NWA, Mid-South, World Class, and for us, Harper, the cage is a fucking fence. It's a chain link fence.
This was basically a big blue ladder.
That's exactly what it is. It's like
it's
lattice huge panel lattice.
It's a lattice.
Yeah, I mean, my grandma could fucking climb up that fucking cage.
Yeah, whereas, we think of the cage, we think of Harley and Ric Flair and a fucking chain link fence around that bitch. And it was like, I mean, think about the very first time as a kid you saw that cage. It's like,
somebody's bleeding. Wait, everybody's bleeding.
Yeah,
everybody's bleeding. Everybody's bleeding. No, you're right. What'd you say?
And whatever's about to happen couldn't be contained in a regular ring for this shit serious.
Mm-hmm.
Shit just got real. It's about to be lit AF up in this bitch.
It's always good when things are lit AF. Also, very good to see Bob Caudle in the house.
It was. So real quick, before we get back to the match, obviously I'm not going to play it, but we got JR and Tony Schiavone. They mentioned the Bunkhouse Stampede, and then they do a quick preview of the TV title unification match we are about to review between Terry Taylor and Nikita Koloff. One thing I want to mention about the Bunkhouse Stampede, in January, it is about a 2-hour special that we are going to do. So the one thing about going into 1988, there's actually, I don't want to call them pay-per-views, but there's actually 3 specials / pay-per-views. You got Stampede, Great American Bash, and then Starrcade 88. So next year it'll be the first.
Let's do them all tonight.
Yeah, right. Anyway.
Watch-alongs tonight.
Watch-alongs tonight. So, Doc, any thoughts on JR and Schiavone talking about the Bunkhouse and Terry and Nikita right there before we get into the match?
I feel like that this year's, because think about it, I feel like this year's Bunkhouse is not going to be as bloody as we've seen in the past, where guys just showed up with basically the front of their brain hanging out of their forehead. Because we are now deep into Starrcade and have only had 2 small forehead openings. The business has changed a lot in the last 2 years.
I was going to mention that like on next week because the first match, I feel like it was the first match in '85 had blood.
All of them did.
And then it was like every match had blood.
You would ram someone's head into a cage naturally. It's going to bleed.
Well, it wasn't just that, though.
Even like Ron Bass and JJ and Manny and everybody.
Oh, yeah, that's true, huh? Yeah.
Everybody bled. The fucking Midnight Express had those tuxedos on against against Boogie and Miss Atlanta Lively, and holy shit, the blood on those suits, just like, it was nuts. But you're right, Doc. We are about to go into the next match, and we have not seen blood yet.
We saw Eaton and Gibson.
Oh, that's true. That's true. So we had one match so far with blood, and that was not anywhere near the amount of blood, and even in that one match that we ended up seeing in '85. '85 was just so good, though. Okay, so we're going to go to the match. We got Terry Taylor and Nikita Koloff. I thought this was a slow match, although I thought Jim Ross made it better because, like, at one point, Nikita reverses an armbar that Taylor had him in, and JR sold it and said, look, that armbar might not look like much, but Nikita is so strong, he can turn that thing into a submission. So I just thought, like, that from JR was just really good. Doc, I'll throw it to you. What did you have from this?
Don't you think that this match was a little slow just because they had come off the scaffold match and Dusty and them were next, so that was kind of their role on the card, was to work slow?
I don't know.
I guess Arn and Tully are next, but it was sort of for everybody to take a breath. I didn't think this was bad, actually. I thought there's some good psychology going on. I thought Terry Taylor did a good job. I thought Nikita was okay. I didn't mind this match.
No, I don't hate it. I never said that. I just said it's slow.
I feel like I like Starrcade better than the two of you did.
Harper, you want to answer that question so far?
I mean, so far it's kind of poo.
I mean, he's not lying. So far, it hadn't been the greatest.
Yeah.
I was okay with what's gone on so far, except for Wyndham and Dr. Death.
The 6-man was all right.
Yeah.
Dr. Death was not all right. The scaffold was fine. And then this, I don't hate this. Let me say that. I don't dislike this. It's just they worked slow, and that was fine. The reason another thing about this match, and I'll get to it in a second. When Nikita does win, I thought the crowd really erupted. Mm-hmm. They were into it. What'd you think, Harper?
I mean, they responded to him.
Look, there's one thing we've learned in 2019 is that Americans have always secretly wanted to be Russians.
There he goes. Got to get his little political digs in because that's what he. Are you playing heel or babyface right now, Doc? I'm confused.
I'm not playing a goddamn thing.
Okay. They end up going outside the ring on this thing on the floor, and Taylor finally gets in some offense because Nikita, I mean, he kind of pretty much dominated early with his power. Towards the end, the camera angles are just terrible at times, but it's just terrible. Nikita is getting in the ring, and Gilbert hits Nikita in the knee, but the only reason we know it's because JR and Shivani tell us. Taylor gets Nikita into the figure four. Bunch of shenanigans with Gilbert at that point, which causes the figure four to be broken. Gilbert then gets on the ring apron. He's fighting with Nikita. Taylor charges Nikita, but Nikita moves, and Taylor hits Gilbert. Then Nikita hits Taylor with the Russian sickle, and Nikita pins Terry Taylor. And the unified title, TV title, is now Nikita Koloff's. Doc, throw it to you. Thoughts on everything that happened at the end there?
Well, this effectively retires the UWF TV title.
You are correct.
So
wonder
that's
where
part
that
of the
belt
classic,
is.
Probably the Con Radisson, I would guess.
I would guess it's at the Con Radisson as well.
So then you got to look at the fact that the burying of UWF has begun. But again, I didn't think Terry Taylor had a chance anyway. But for what it was, I thought this was a good match and I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was
and then
fine.
you had fucking Gilbert involved.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was fine, and the
I
crowd
like
reacted to
wrestling.
it.
I like wrestling, though.
Yeah,
No,
I
you
mean
don't.
Gilbert. He reminds me of when I was a kid. Remember they had the Pee Wee's Playhouse. They used to come on Saturday mornings.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but
They
is
had
that
a
your favorite
puppet.
show?
No, but they had a puppet on there called fucking Randy. He was a little puppet that was always up to no good. He was like a little fucking prick. That's what he reminds me of. Was fucking Randy the puppet from fucking Pee Wee's fucking Playhouse.
Not Cowboy Curtis.
No, remember him
Randy the puppet.
on Pee Wee's Playhouse?
Pee Wee's Playhouse. I am definitely looking this up because
He was
used
like
to
a little.
watch that.
Well, the guy watched the video because he was like a little smart ass little puppet that was always fucking talking shit.
A smart ass puppet talking shit.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it right now. Oh shit! Oh man, this puppet, I can't explain it. He I don't remember him, but he is a goofy looking bastard.
Man, if you look at you know what wouldn't fly today? Pee Wee Herman, man. There were all kinds of warning signs of what that would end up being.
Fuck, dude. I used to love that movie so much, bro. Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Oh,
that shit was so low budget.
Bro, that shit was great. I used to love his house. That fucking house,
Yeah.
and he's eating a fucking Mr. T cereal.
That fucking bike. You probably wanted the bike.
Speaking of deviant sexual acts,
What?
Harper, have you seen? Well, you know, Pee Wee went to the theater and got busted for.
Bro,
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that such bullshit now in 2019? He's just
Well-
fucking jerking off in a fucking little booth, bro. I mean, Jesus Christ. It's not like he's R. Kelly or fucking Michael Jackson or something.
Speaking of that,
He's just cranking one off.
Harper, have you seen the HBO documentary on Michael Jackson?
I did not see it. No, I mean, I already know he was a little boy lover.
Well, so we need to stop down for a second before we put some ages on Nikita and Terry Taylor here. I watched a few minutes the other night, and it was so raw and real. Mike, this is a shoot. I ain't even told you this. It was so real that I turned it off. I couldn't handle it.
Oh wow, I gotta watch it.
I'm not interested.
They had a guy on there that was, you know, in like his 30s now. And he basically said that and he said this in as explicit terms as if he was the fourth guy in the booth here, that Michael Jackson put his dick in his 9-year-old mouth.
Oh,
and
God.
then made him crawl to the end of the bed with his booty hole out while Michael Jackson beat off.
We're not. I
That's
don't need
nice.
That. I'm not even trying to. No.
See,
okay.
I turned it off, but man, it's just
Okay. That's a bit.
Y'all need
I'm
to
not-
watch Abducted in fucking Plain Sight on Netflix.
that's
just
in my
great.
queue.
Is that the one you told us to watch?
Yeah.
So we could do a show on.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. That. Let me tell y'all something whenever we stop recording. All right. Yeah. I got that one on the queue too. All right. Let's keep going.
So yeah. So basically, it was so rough. It was so rough that I was like, oh man, that's messed up. And I had to turn it off. And if people knew the depravity and filth that gets passed along and texted amongst the three of us, I'm saying something right there.
Yeah, you really are.
That it crossed the line that even I didn't know I had.
Let's get back to Starrcade Part 1. Now, as we've done,
he also stuck his tongue in the little boy's booty.
No, Jesus.
As we've done with Starrcade 85 and 86, we did not rate it.
Do you want to know how old the participants are?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, Terry Taylor's your old guy in the ring here at 32. And Nikita's 28.
Woo! Boy.
Just a lot of talent in that late 20s, early 30s. Good prime of their career that the creative is really letting them down here.
Do you agree, though, we're not rating it at this point because we've only got halfway through it?
Right.
A+.
All right. So no rating. Ratings will come next week. There we go.
Hit the tagline.
No, not hit the tagline yet.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, I guess so. Harper,
Don't
you can hit the
bitch.
No, you can hit the tagline just for the NWA portion of it, but we got to get over to Les Thatcher. Don't forget about that, man.
You got any PWIs for us tonight?
I do, because we'll have some time to fill, actually.
All right.
If you want to. Harper,
nobody does better at PWI than me and Harper, so we'll see you in a little bit. Harper and I are going to go study for the test, and you guys listen to Les Thatcher. And we'll be back to show you how smart we are.
So real quick, before we go to Les Thatcher, a couple quick things. Don't forget to use the Amazon referral link. That's tinyurl.com/BTT Amazon. It is a great way to support this show on an ongoing basis without spending anything extra. Whatever you're spending on Amazon, the show gets a little kickback in return. Again, it's tinyurl.com/BTT Amazon. Give that link to your wives, girlfriends, side pieces, and hoes in your life and tell them to bookmark it. It is important for them to bookmark it and use it every single time. And if you use it, thank you very, very much. All right, Harper. Hit the tagline and get us over to Les Thatcher Part 2.
Book it, bitch.
Tommy Noe and I have connected via social media, and he's been on the show multiple times, like I'd mentioned to you. He mentioned an interview you did with the Headbangers to me where they took off your glasses and messed up your hair. He mentioned this to you, so I haven't seen this yet, or if I've seen it, I don't remember. Do you recall this, and what was your reaction to it?
Oh, yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember if they took my glasses off or not, but yeah. Okay. Well, here's to embellish that funny story was Brian Hildebrand, Mark Curtis, had a cat named after. He had a cat named Thatcher. And I said, why the hell did you name? I said, nobody's ever named a cat after me. Why'd you name the cat Thatcher? He said, because like you, he's never got a hair out of place. Right. And of course, if I'm going on camera, I'm not necessarily a vain person, but I'm selling myself as part of the product here, right? So I wanted to dress properly, and when I was much younger, before smoking, I was quite a clothes horse in my 30s and 40s, but so I always wanted to make sure my hair was combed and everything. And somebody had put the Bangers onto that, mess his hair up, and I didn't sell it. I didn't register it, but when I got to the back and they said, "I know you're hot," it was a quick thing. I don't know if you'll catch it on camera or not. To be honest with you, I don't know for sure, but they're good guys too. We introduced a lot when we talked about the gangsters, the Headbangers. The Thrill Seekers, we introduced a lot of. How about a guy by the name of Glenn Jacobs?
Glenn Jacobs, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he was. He came in. Well, originally came in with Eddie Gilbert to be Eddie's partner, and then Eddie decided to go to take off in the middle of the night and go to Puerto Rico. God rest his soul, which is where he passed away. So then Glenn ended up being partners with Al. Well, Al Snow wasn't a new guy. But Al had never been in a position to do TV with any regularity or do promos. Al's, originally a Ohio boy too, up north of me in Lima. So he, when he'd drive down here and we'd go to make the TVs. That's all we were doing together a lot. But that also, gave Al more exposure and actually got him his first contract with WWF. So there was a lot of that, the talent that got exposed there on Smokey that may otherwise have still been, hiding somewhere in the, behind the scenes if it weren't for that.
Yeah, it's tremendous when you look at. Even was it Balls Mahoney as oh God, I'm dropping his name, Boo Bradley.
Oh, yeah, Boo Bradley, right? Yeah, and now you want to talk about something that never mind cringing at that Dujak talking about OJ when they made like they had thrown Boo's cat in a tree shredder, right? I thought, Jesus, Jimmy, are you out of your friggin' mind? Right? Every animal, group in the world is going to be picketing the damn matches before this is all over. I don't know if you've gotten to that point or past that point. I'm not even sure. But at some point, Tammy, that's the way Tammy and Chris. Talking about great talent being exposed, Chris Candido, for God's sakes. And Tammy got, getting her start there. But, yeah, they threw Boo's cat into the shredder. And I thought, oh, my God. And I'm a pet lover. I've had dogs and cats all my life. And I thought, man, you want to talk about crossing the line. You're out of your friggin' mind.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, imagine if someone did that today. Oh, my God, PETA would be in an uproar, even though it was just, for TV. But I agree. You're about to start talking about Tammy and Chris. Oh, my God. Chris, to me, he felt like a star even from the time he got there, even though he was still learning. And Tammy, I mean, I've heard the story from Jimmy. She's on TV that first time, and literally, I mean, it's the first time she'd ever done TV, and it's just unreal how quick she grows into that role and being able to cut those promos. So tremendous stuff, again, once from Smoky Mountain Wrestling. And again, two people that basically, Tammy definitely got her start there, but Tammy and Chris, got their start very, very young in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, just like a bunch of other people.
Yeah, Chris and I hit it off well because he was a big weight room freak like myself, and so we got a chance to train together some, and we'd talk, go have lunch and talk nutrition and different ways to lift and work out and so forth. So yeah, sadly enough, there's a guy that went way before his time, and just an amazing talent.
Yeah, he was good. You weren't on commentary at the time, but the feud he had with Tim Horner in '93, I believe it was, those two, I really liked their little feud. It ended up with like a baby bonnet match. It was really good stuff, and it was fun to watch. But they and that was when Chris first got there. But he was so good, and like you said, just gone way too soon. He just a raw deal that took him. It's really sad what happened to him.
Yeah, it's just a shame. I mean, that territory couldn't survive. And looking back at it, when I first went in and started doing the shows, I'll tell you the first Coliseum show I ever did. I don't remember what the hell. Well, it was early on because they were getting. It was Garvin. I forget who all was, but it was the finals for the Smoky Mountain Heavyweight Championship. And
we did the Volunteer Slam '92, right? Knoxville
Civic Coliseum. Yeah.
Yep.
And I remember driving in and come in the night before. And so anyway, I'm one of these people that if I'm on time, I figure I'm late. So I always try to get every place early. And I had never, worked Smoky at the time or done the promos or anything. So I pull in the bottom of the Coliseum. Of course, that's where we wrestled at Southeastern, so I was very familiar with the building. So as I'm walking in, Horner and I forget if somebody was with him, they were coming out toward the underground parking, and they said, "Boy, Cornette's going to be happy to see you." And I said, "Well," he said, "you better hurry." I said, "I'm not expected. Why am I hurrying? Because there's nothing to do." But I forget who the kid was that had been doing the ring announcing. It wasn't Tommy. I forget the guy's name. Nice guy. But he was trying to do the promos, interview the guys and intro the promos. And Jimmy was pulling his hair out. And I just, I walked in the door and Jimmy said, "Les, grab his microphone." I said, "What?" "Here, you got to do this," right? And I'd never done a Smoky Mountain promo in my friggin' life, right? So you start now, right? And that was my introduction to doing Smoky Mountain promos that particular day. But you know what? I had so much fun with that. JR said, It was just, and work with Jimmy was a lot of fun. So much, especially in realizing, I'd seen him as a fan in 1978 and watched how he had grown. And, and we were, I mean, he would, like I say, he'd tell you what he needed, but he didn't come out and tell you how to, he didn't put words in your mouth. He realized that, he hired us because we could create, on our own. And I think that's what's missing in the business today, Mike, honestly, isn't, giving a guy, I mean, there are guys who need to be told every step of the way, but, so much is so cut and dried, so micromanaged that it's just, it leaves, the people don't get emotionally involved. And they did. You want a good story about the great mind of Jimmy Cornette where he slips up once in a while?
Sure, please.
Have you? Sure, if you can pull anything over Jimmy, right? Yes. Have you seen Bluegrass Brawl where Lance Russell and I did the commentary?
Yes, I have.
Okay. All right. What? How many guys are in that main event? What? 10 guys or 8? I forget. Right?
Yeah, it's it was the 3 teams technically, so it would be 9.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. 3. Yeah. Okay. So anyway. As I mentioned, Jimmy would say, I need this out of this match. I need this out of that match. And on this particular situation in Pikeville, we didn't have headsets, right? There were no headsets. So it was just Lance and I with our microphones. And so we're into the main event. And, of course, and the other bad part, we didn't have monitors, right? So we didn't know what the cameras were shooting. And these guys are over here doing this. 2 other guys are here, 2 other guys. And like, what the hell, should we be calling? We weren't sure either. So as this match is building, Lance is scribbling something on a piece of paper and he shoves it over to me. And he said, who's going over? And I scribbled on a piece of paper, pushed it back. I don't know. Didn't Jimmy tell you? He writes, no. So we had no idea what we should be calling toward the finish. We didn't even know what the hell the finish was, right? He had neglected to tell us. And in the course of us getting ready, neither one of us had asked. So what we had to do after the whole thing was over, after the building was empty, we got in front of a monitor. They set up a monitor. And we, like the last couple minutes of that thing, we dubbed the voice over so we could actually, put our concentrate on the finish because Jimmy had forgot to tell us what the damn finish of that. And when it's that many people, it's not like we're going to throw something in here and hope we get it right.
Right.
That was the whole thing.
Yeah, I had no idea. Wow, that's a good story. That's a good one. How are you on time? Because I did have a couple of listener questions they had sent me to.
I'm good. I'm good. Okay. Whatever you need.
Sure. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Time is a valuable thing, and you've given me a lot. So thank you.
At my age, Mike, the clock is ticking. Yeah, go ahead.
No problem. Thank you so much. Actually, one question from my co-host who couldn't make it first, and then I'll get into the listener ones. He and I were talking about Smoky Mountain Wrestling. It closed down in '95. Given, the wrestling boom period that I call it that took place with the Monday Night Wars in '96, do you think if Jimmy could have held on for another year that Smoky Mountain may have survived and been profitable and enough to continue not only beyond '96, but well into the 2000s and possibly now, just given, the type of ship he ran?
I would have hoped so. Probably at some point. I doubt that we'd be in business today, due to the climate of the business and how it's changed. But I think one of the things there, and of course, you realize hindsight is always 20/20. But I remember that, initially when we were doing, we would go to a different town to do our block of 4 TV shows. And at one point, they were bringing a big production van out of Atlanta, right? And so the cost, I wasn't privy to the books, but I know what's, the amount of money that something like that's going to take. Plus, the time that as we change a gym in Harlan or a gym in this city of North Carolina or over here or over there, your crew, your production crews had to come in and find the best way to set up lighting. They had the best way to set this up and that up. That wasn't always the best angles. Lighting might be not as up to par as you'd want it, but it's all you could. I often wondered, had Jimmy have found an old warehouse or something on the outskirts of Knoxville, would it have been cheaper to have put a long-term lease on like an old warehouse and set up the place for that, where all we had to go in and throw a switch, the lights came, and everything was going to be there. You could have even run a couple small, small shows in there other than the TV, because I know that, back in the territory days, that was, a case. And so I remember in Phoenix, Arizona, they used to do their TV. They had an old grocery store, the promoters out there, which was their offices, but it was also where they did the TV, but they also ran just a regular show in there besides the TV. So my curiosity is, would that have saved more money, which would have stretched out the run of Smoky Mountain? Am I making sense, I hope?
Yeah, it is. It's making a lot of sense, because you would have had one place where you weren't paying, this huge production truck, every once a month to go to a town and set up and all the cost that incurred with that, versus, having one location where you can, like you said, flip the switch. It's a lot more controlled, and it's probably nowhere near as costly, even though we don't know what the books look like, but it definitely makes sense. And if that would have helped and been able to, help get past, Thanksgiving of 95 when things, when things shut down. I always just wonder what it would have been like if he could have survived, because I mean, literally, if you're shutting down in Thanksgiving of 95, and if you think about it, with the way the Monday Night Wars took place, I mean, all of a sudden, by spring, I'll just say spring to summer of 96, not even 6 months later, the wrestling world, at least for fans that I knew, and again, I'm a fan, it just was on fire with those two companies going at it face to face, and you had the NWO. So it just makes me wonder if wrestling was in that down period when he started Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and if you could survive that and get into 96, it just makes me. I always want to believe, at least in my mind, that they could have weathered that storm, and like you said, they may not be in business now, but at least would have went into the 2000s and beyond, which would have been kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, how much longer did Jarrett's Memphis promotion run?
Not that much longer. I mean, a few more years, but you're right.
But part of it, I think, too, was they had studio wrestling, right? So they didn't have to incur those production costs, unless they were taking a couple cameras out someplace to shoot an angle, or progress a storyline in one of their towns. So yeah, that's just something. Again, like I say, hindsight is always 20/20, and but I've often wondered about that. If that would have given the company more longevity.
Yeah, it would have been something to see if he could have held on. I did have another question from one of the listeners, Armando. Have you seen this recently released video of the Knoxville 5 exposing the business? Have you seen this video or heard about it at all?
Oh, I probably have heard about it, but exactly who are we talking about?
Well, it's a video of this was during the Knoxville quote unquote wrestling war.
Okay, I was there in the middle of that. Yes, so but I don't know that I ever saw this video.
It just came out on social media about a week and a half ago, as of us recording this, and it is Ron Garvin, Bob Roop, Ron Wright, Bob Orton Jr., and Boris Malenko, and they are talking about Plan B as it relates to the Knoxville wrestling war. And from what I've been told, this video was shot overnight at one of the studios, and it's basically these guys exposing what we would term exposing the wrestling business on video as it pertains to the war. So
what? That's I don't think I ever saw it. I don't know that they were on Channel 26. And like I say, I was there in the midst of that. The whole thing. I won't. We could kill another hour about that. But I will tell you, that I've been at conventions with Bob and with Bobby, with Roop and Orton Jr. and Garvin will tell you, it was a dumb move, and it was. I was involved in the Atlanta War. through Ann Gunkel's promotion versus the NWA. That's when Gordon and I did the television together, and I was part of the office there. But all the stupidity in Knoxville did was kill the business in Knoxville, period, because the town wasn't big enough to take that, right? And when they pulled out, we knew they were going before they went, because somebody had cued Ron's dad in. But, he had to sit on it because we had all these guys figured into angles. But we knew they were pulling out, quite a few weeks before they did. But then if they'd have spent more time actually maybe promoting their product opposed to challenging people who they knew weren't going to accept the challenges. And when I say that, it's over and done with. And, like I say, I socialize with Roop and Garvin at reunions and stuff, and what's done's done, but yeah, it was a bad time, and it was a stupid mistake. And one of the things is they say, and I will wrap it up with this, well, Ron Fuller was taking money off the top in the houses. And my answer now, I did not handle money. I was part of the Knoxville office from the get-go. I was the initial. There was Ron, Mac McMurray, and myself were basically the three people that consisted of the office. Well, Ron's wife as well. But my answer to that, having worked in so many territories, if Ron Fuller as a promoter wasn't taking something off the top, he was the only damn promoter in the business that wasn't. Right. So it was just a dumb reason to split. Right, because the old, when I grew up in the business, I started in 19. The old saying was, whoever's got the first count on the tickets is the guy's going to make the most money. Right? Like I say, I never handled the money there, so I couldn't tell you if he took 1%, 6%, or 9,000%. I don't know, but if he wasn't taking a little bit off the top, he would be the only promoter I figured I ever worked with or for that wasn't. So of all the silly reasons to start a war, that was the dumbest. And like I say, I was there through, he sold to Barnett, and I stayed with Barnett for a while. Then I went down to Mobile, where I got a chance to work with my buddy Charlie Platt on the Dothan television for Southeastern. But then when Crockett and Mulligan and Flair bought the territory, Rick called me and said, hey, Channel 10 says they'll keep us on TV, but part of the deal is they want you back, because I was like the mediator between Southeastern and Channel 10, and I had a good working relationship with the programming director and the sales manager and so forth and so on. So that's one of the reasons I packed my bags and went back to Knoxville. But that was actually the last studio wrestling was when when Flair and Mulligan and Crockett had it. That last serious studio wrestling in that city, and all the war did was kill the damn territory, quite frankly.
Yep, it's the wrestling business sometimes, right?
Yep.
Here's another one for you, Keith, on our Facebook page. He wanted to know, you worked a little with Dutch Mantell on commentary, not much, but given how great Dutch was, do you wish, given circumstances, being better in Smoky Mountain, that you could have worked with Dutch a lot more? Now, I know you worked with Dutch wrestling as well, but I'm guessing there was only a few occasions where you got to work with Dutch on commentary, right?
Well, you know what? Steve Dunn of Well Done, right?
Yes, yep.
And his partners, they had a promotion. This would have been, God, let me stop and think here, probably 98 or 99 in Nashville. They started a promotion, and the old fairgrounds there at Nashville Fairgrounds that they're tearing down, where NWA just ran their 70th anniversary or whatever the hell it was a while back. I was doing TV there for them, and Dutch was my color man there. So that was the other opportunity I had. I enjoyed working with Dutch. I mean, we had a good relationship anyway, as wrestlers in ring, but the broadcast, he was easy to work with and easy to bounce stuff off of. And so, yeah, I enjoyed working with him, and he's got a damn good fertile mind for the business as well. and which is, was part of, he was a booker for both the Puerto Rican promotions, and actually it seemed like when he was one, they were on top of the game. When he went to the other one, they pulled up. So yeah, but he was fun to work with, easy to work with, and it was easy for us to feed off of one another. So yeah, I would love to work with him again at some point. At this point in my life, I don't know, how. I mean, Lance Russell. When let me throw this in real quick. When Gordon Soley retired, there's a little radio talk show station across the river here in northern Kentucky that we were doing a radio show. This is one in the early stages of when I had HWA here. And when Gordon retired, we put together a tribute show. And we had Lou Thez on, and we had Corny on, we had Debbie Combs on, we had Don Curtis, and we had Lance on as well. And I was listening to, I got cassettes. For those who don't know, that's a little tape that you put in a machine. And I was listening to it a while back, and that was when did Gordon retire? Was that 90 what? 96, 97, 90, I don't know. Anyway, when Lance was on with Gordon and I, and we were talking about having fun telling the story, and Lance said then, the problem now, the guys don't tell a story. And I thought, my God, if he didn't think they were telling a story then, they damn sure ain't telling one now.
You're right.
So so it's so and to me that was always the fun thing, is to embellish what they were doing by adding depth to what they were doing, and especially, like I said, JR called me an analyst. In fact saying, well, this guy's watch him build his offense. Now it's a spot. Somebody grabs a hold and works it. Do you watch NXT at all?
I do. I don't watch it every single week, but I catch all of the specials.
Please go watch Matt Riddle and Drew Gulak.
Oh, okay. I'll definitely do so.
It is an amazing wrestling match. Of course, both these guys, I've had the opportunity to work with both of them in training sessions, and Drew worked a promotion I booked for a year in L.A. a few years back, too. But they just have a hell of a wrestling match. And so, yeah, it would be hard for Gordon, any of us I'm amazed how well JR has made the transition. But I think in part that reason is that he never dropped away from the business. He made the transition as the transition was made, as it stopped being working holes and the storyline being the most important thing to being more like a video game. And as great as it was to work with all these guys that I mentioned earlier, I don't know that we could all sit down unless the guys in the ring had the kind of match that Gulak and Matt Riddle were having. Or I find, to me, honestly, and I know this got nothing to do with Smokey or anything else, but right now NXT to me is the closest thing to what I used to do as anything there is in the business.
Like I said, I don't get to watch the. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, in terms of stories and everything, I think so. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, it would, as much as I'd enjoy doing something with any of these guys, but Dutch has such a, he's sort of Jimmy Cornette with a beard in terms of quick wit, right? I mean, and that's like working with Jimmy. I'd say, your guys are wrestling this guy and just hold the damn microphone, right? You didn't have to do any talking at all. Just let Jimmy do it. But yeah, Dutch was a pleasure to work with. He's a pro.
He's tremendous. He's great on commentary. He's just like you said, his mind is so good for it. And Jimmy has told me when we had him on, he talks about how he bounced a lot of ideas off of Dutch in Smoky Mountain in that early going. Well, the whole time Dutch was there because Dutch was so good, and it was somebody that he could have that could be a sounding board and say, Dutch, think about this. What about this? And, like you said, Dutch's mind is just so good. It's just, he's just to me, I say this all the time, and I go, he's one of the best commentators. He's like underrated as a commentator because I don't think anybody ever talks about him as a commentator, but he's so good with Bob Caudle and Smoky Mountain. You have to mention him when you're talking about, guys that do commentary. But the thing was, not a lot of people were exposed to Smoky Mountain Wrestling, so they don't even think about it. But in my mind, I go, man, him and Bob as a team were just tremendous. So I think that's where that question came from, wondering about you and Dutch, and if y'all had a chance to work together. It would have been great because Dutch would have been just like he was with Bob, where he always made these jokes and he would insult Bob and Bob would be so appalled. They just really had a nice little interplay between themselves, and I could see you guys being the exact same way, which is well, when we worked together in Nashville, the sad thing was I guess their promotion was a little underfinanced or whatever the case may be. But, I forget how many shows we did there. But it was, and they had some decent talent in and stuff too. And some guys who became big stars were just, James Storm, for example, was just getting his feet wet, in the business. And, but they had, they had some good guys there. But yeah, that was the only other time I had the opportunity to work with Dutch. But yeah, it was always a pleasure. I could see that. Hi, Lucas had a question from our Facebook page. He says, do you think a lot of your students from HWA would have fit in Smoky Mountain Wrestling? And these are the guys he named, just as an example: John Moxley, B.J. Whitmer, Matt Stryker, Nigel McGuinness. I guess he's asking, what do you think about those guys fitting in with what was done in Smoky Mountain Wrestling? Yes, they would. And the reason they would, because the first thing I teach is basics. And that's one thing, Mike. I've been in this. July the 4th of this year will be the 59th anniversary of my first match. I started in this business when I was 19 years old. And the one thing that's never going to change in this business is the foundation and the fundamentals. You can call it sports entertainment. You can call it monopoly. You can call it any damn thing you want. And you can change the way. But the foundation is still the foundation. And if you actually want to tell a story, and then you've got to be able, to have that foundation. And that's one of the things that I taught all these guys. And the other thing is, you came out of my school, you know how to call a match on the fly. What you do now, you're paid. Again, I said earlier, it's a business, so you do what you're paid to do. But that's one of the things. HWA, it was. Here's the finish. You build the match, and because guys, human beings make mistakes, and let's say you and I are having a match, and we've got this elaborate finish where you're going to the top rope and do some craziness to beat me, and we're going 20 minutes, and say 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes in, you pull a hamstring. Not bad enough that we got to stop the match, but bad enough you can't make that move to the top rope to get this elaborate finish in. Well, if all we know is what we talked about in the back, we're in trouble, man. Because if we can't readjust it and call it on the fly, what are we going to do? Ask for timeout so we can go back and talk about it again? Right. You see my point? That's a good point. I do. I don't know how today's athletes do the hold, choreograph, spot for spot. It's like you said, being able to call it in a ring, call it on a fly is something that now it's not a complete lost art, but it's definitely becoming one. But, at least you taught that. And the guys we're talking about here, that's the actual art of being a worker. And I'm using my fingers in quotations now. There are a lot of performers and entertainers in our business today, but there's very few workers. Jericho is a worker, but I can say the guys you mentioned, BJ, Nigel, Stryker, they're workers. They were workers. And to me, that's the foundation. And again, if somebody's paying you
high six figures or seven figures to lay everything. I don't know how, if I were a young guy today with the same background that I have, and you said, hey, we're laying out a 15-minute match or I'm going to shoot you, I'd say, Mike, shoot me, because I don't know how the hell to do that. Well, part of that is, too, you have to adjust for a crowd. You know, the crowd in Knoxville tonight, you and I may have this match that we've, paint by numbers, laid out move by move, and the people are excited with it. We take that same match to another town tomorrow night, and they may sit on their hands. What the hell are we going to do?
Right, they're dead. You're just going to go through all that, and they're dead. They're sitting on their hands, yeah.
Sure. So we need to be able to, and that's, like I say, that's really the art of the business, is being able to adjust to what the audience is or is not buying. And that's start. You're right. It's not a lost start, but it's sadly enough going in that direction.
Yeah, it's like one of those things that it's through the test of time. Through time, because there's so little people still doing it. Not literally, but the amount of people still doing it. It's just becoming something that's a loss. I thought it was interesting, thinking about B.J. Whitmer. Well, in your school, how much do you talk about like just doing commentary and things too? Because I'm gonna, again, congratulate you on something. I used to, watching ROH, I used to believe that like Nigel and BJ, like even within the last year before he left ROH, I used to think BJ Whitmer was tremendous on commentary. He wouldn't do it all the time, but always thought he was real good on commentary. He definitely was.
You mentioned Nigel and BJ are two of the. I'm proud of a lot of I call them my kids. And obviously they're way past the age of being kids, but they're mine. I couldn't tell you how proud I am of both those guys. BJ now is signed on as senior producer for AEW, and part is because those guys had the opportunity to work with him in Ring of Honor as a producer. And but yeah, he was. I've had the opportunity to work with him as a trainer in recent years. I mentioned Los Angeles, and I booked a year-long tournament out there where I used a lot of these guys: Gargano, Gulak, Adam Cole, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And Nigel also was my booker on this thing as well. And I'm so proud of those guys and to have been a small part of their growth and development in this business. And they're tremendous guys. But yeah, there are some, Adam Pearce, who works behind the scenes for WWE now, he worked that tournament with me out there. But there was a guy who would transcend. He was the NWA champion for a while. He would have fit in 1968 or 1978 as well as in 2008 or 2018. He could shift. The guys who, if you've only got the one dimension, if all you can do is call it, move for move, you're in trouble. You're limited in what you can do. And that's, and so, it's like if you're a quarterback and you've got two plays and that's all you got, you're not going to win a hell of a lot of games. You've got to be able to adjust.
That's a good analogy. If you're a quarterback and all you got is 2-3 plays in your playbook, you'll be in trouble if you keep trying to run the same ones over and over. So yeah, definitely. One more question, Les, and then then we'll wrap things up. This was from one of our listeners as well on Facebook, Mark. He said, I think hopefully I'm phrasing this right. He says, have you ever considered creating a YouTube channel with something like your personality profile that you used to do back in the day? And he says, with the benefit of 2019 hindsight. I guess he's meaning like taking all your knowledge over the years and having a YouTube channel and sharing those your knowledge there is what I'm thinking.
Is there any money to be made there, Mike? I don't know.
YouTube, there used to be.
Excuse me.
I mean, there is potential, but it's you're right. It's becoming it's a cluttered market. The whole YouTube channel. We have a small one. I won't tell you that a lot of money is made off of it, but we have a small one. It's growing, and we'll see what happens. But
you realize that I was one of the first wrestlers to have a weekly podcast.
I don't know if I realized that.
Doc, huh?
I don't know if I realized that.
Yeah, Doc Young, who's passed away a couple of years ago. he initially, this would have been back, gosh, I don't know, 2005 maybe or so.
Okay.
He was producer for a guy's podcast that had me on as a guest, and Doc, this guy got bigger than he should have, or his head got bigger than it should have, or whatever. And Doc had contacted me and said, would you try something with me? And I said, what? And he said, would you co-host a podcast with me? And we got listen, I don't follow all this stuff as closely as I used to, but we got a couple awards from some website that, as best, wrestling podcast of the year or something back in 2006 and 7. But I was doing these things, and then he got an illness in it, which he ended up dying from, but he was producing behind the scenes for the Observer Figure 4 Weekly website, where I do a weekly show now. But initially, when I came on there, is when he wanted to get back in it. He called me, and so I started doing it with him until his health wouldn't allow it anymore. And so I currently do it with Vic Sosa. But so yeah, I was doing podcasts, and I haven't gotten rich yet. In fact, people say you've done everything in the wrestling business. And I said everything but get rich. And at this point, I think I'm giving up on that. So it's.
I hear you. No, I hear you very much. Yeah, that makes two of us. I haven't gotten well. I hold down a regular 9 to 5 and have done so for a long time. This is more of a hobby, but it's a lot of fun. I get to talk to guys like you. Jim Cornette, Tracy Smothers, and talk about things that they love. And
how often do you talk to my friend Jimmy?
Not often, but I talk to his co-hosts weekly. Brian and I talk. Yeah, Brian and I talk.
You tell Brian I'm watching these Crockett Cup videos, and 90% of the magazine pages they're throwing up there, I've either designed or laid out, or from when I edited for magazines for Crockett. So tell him I'm going to send him a damn bill.
I'm actually going to be talking to him in the morning. We got to record another episode of our Mid-South show. So
I did Brian's show a while back, a couple of years ago, I guess it was.
I remember when he had you on, the 605, I remember when he had you on. But I talk to him more often than I talk to Jim Cornette. When I talk to Cornette, it's a lot of times through email. I'll email him from time to time or on Twitter. And he's been on, like I said, he's been on a few times, but I definitely talk to Brian a lot more than I do Jimmy. So we have a lot of fun. We do that Mid-South. Just like I do the Smoky Mountain show with my guys, Brian and I do the Mid-South show with just he and I, and it's a lot of fun.
I've got to be honest with you here, and this will expose me as an idiot old man, but my cell phone got run over by a car, believe it or not. It wasn't on my person when it got run over by the car, thank God. But,
you're right.
But Jimmy's phone number is in there, and I haven't had the opportunity to get his phone number from anybody. So, but I call and tell him myself, listen, Corny, I'm going to send you a friggin' bill for you using my magazines to plug the NWA stuff. I want a payday, for Christ's sake.
I'll make sure I mention it to Brian tomorrow. Oh, man. So, man, it was really great talking to you. I really appreciate you taking some time with me, sitting down and talking some Smoky Mountain Wrestling, along with many other things. It's definitely been a blast, and thank you so much. And who knows, we should maybe do this again sometime. And I appreciate, let me tell you this too, I appreciate the shares on Facebook and the retweet on Twitter, telling people, hey, this was a fun time, because that's one thing about Smoky Mountain Wrestling more than anything. It just seems like a fun time. I wasn't there to see it live. I wasn't there when it was happening live, nor was I able to watch it while it was happening. But I can tell you this much, 20 plus years later, watching it, it's a blast. And, Bob Caudle used to always say at the beginning of every episode, wrestling the way it used to be and the way you like it. And I can say that for the most part, that's what Smoky Mountain was during its run.
I can too. I agree. And Mike, it's been fun. I hope it's been entertaining and informing for anybody who's listening to it. And if I bored you to death, I'm sorry.
No, sir, you haven't bored me. But do you want to tell if anyone wants to stay in touch with you, whether it be Twitter or various other places on social media?
Yeah, listen, I do weekend training camps or one-day seminars for that matter. And you can reach me les@epwt.com or lesthatcher@zoomtown.com. And I'd be more than happy to send you the information on those training camps. I will say this, I can pretty much guarantee that if you spend a weekend with me, I'll give you if you're a young wrestler, I'll give you tools to up your game and improve your in-ring performance.
There you go. So make sure you contact Les if you're interested. And again, I want to thank you, and I'll ask you to hang tight as soon as I stop this recording. That way I can chat with you offline for a second. But thanks again, sir, and it's been a pleasure and honor. I really have enjoyed talking to you about Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much, Mike.
Was Les Thatcher Part 2. If you enjoyed hearing Part 1 and Part 2 with Les Thatcher, make sure you tweet him and let him know that you enjoyed the conversation and that you want him to come back some other time. He told me, he said, I would be glad to do the show anytime with you. So shout out Armando Martinez, longtime BTT Hall of Fame out there. But it was a lot of fun talking to Les, man. Les is a true, I know Harper likes to make fun and go, that's real classy. But no, he is a class act, a very classy individual. And it was a lot of fun talking to him. So with that said, we got to get into the show close, and we are diving back into a PWI Top 10. A couple weeks ago, we did January 1989, which is the rankings from or through September 8th of 1988. We're going to continue that. We did the top 10 overall. This week, we're going to do the WWF Top 10. So the top 10 wrestlers in the WWF at that point.
From what year?
January. This is Pro Wrestling Illustrated, January 1989.
Okay. Oh fuck.
You should be good. You should be good at this. This is your promotion.
Yeah. Thinking fucking 89. Yeah. That's yeah.
All right. So here we go. Let's alternate back and forth like we usually do. Doc, do you want to take the first guess?
Rick Rude.
Rick Rude is number 9. Harper, your turn.
The Warrior.
The Ultimate Warrior is ranked number 1. Now, there's a champion, but he was not the champion, so Ultimate Warrior is number 1. All right, Doc, you go.
The Hulkster brother.
Hulk was number 3. Harper, you go.
Macho.
The Macho Man Randy Savage, yeah. World champion at that time. Macho was the world champion, so he's not ranked. He's a champion. Well, he is ranked, but he is the champion. Doc, you go.
Ted DiBiase.
Ted DiBiase is number 2, or in the famous way of Bill Watts saying it, DiBiase. You are correct. Harper, your turn.
Beefcake.
Brutus Beefcake was number 7. PWI listed him at 273 pounds from San Francisco, California. Jesus Christ. All right. Man, y'all are rolling. Doc, your guess.
Andre.
Andre is number 4. You are correct. Andre is number 4. For the record, Warrior was number 1. He was the Intercontinental Champion at that point. So just to let everybody know. Okay. DiBiase was a number 2 contender to the WWF title at that point too. All right, your turn, Harper.
Let's see. 89. I'm trying to think. It was Perfect. Was he there at that time?
Oh, he's not ranked.
Okay.
He is not ranked in their top 10. Doc, you want to go?
Steamboat.
Nope. This is 89.
Yeah, I don't think he was around. Why did he leave? I was thinking about that the other day.
But this is January 89 PWI, which means it could be like summer of 88.
Yeah, well, it's September of 88 is what it's through, so you do have a good point there. But he's not in the NWA rankings, nor is he in the WWF one at this time.
All right, I guess let's do some more guessing.
Valentine, Great to Hammer Valentine.
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 Valentine is not there.
Fuck.
He's not right.
Give me Jake the Snake.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Jake.
Jake Roberts is number 8. You are correct.
Let's see.
So there are only 3 that y'all haven't gotten. 2 of them you're gonna get. 1 of them you're never gonna get. Go ahead, Harper.
Okay.
Tito?
No, Tito's not.
Fuck.
Roddy Piper.
Nope. No Roddy.
Yeah, I think he was a movie star at that point, huh?
I think so. I think you're correct.
Yeah.
How would I know?
Let's see. Honky Tonk Man?
Honky Tonk Man is number 5. Number 5. Doc. There's only 2 left.
Rick Martel.
Nope.
Hacksaw.
There you go, Harper. Hacksaw is number 6. So let me recap real quick for everyone before y'all keep guessing. The world champion is Randy Savage, WWF. Ultimate Warrior is 1. Ted DiBiase is 2. Hulk Hogan's 3. Andre the Giant's 4. Honky Tonk Man is 5. Hacksaw Duggan is 6. Brutus Beefcake is 7. Jake Roberts is 8. Rick Rude is 9. The only one y'all are missing is number 10, and I, for the life of me, can't figure out.
Hercules Hernandez.
No.
Dino Bravo.
No.
The Berserker.
No, that's too early. One Man Gang.
Nope.
Lord the Barbarian.
No.
Kamala.
No.
King Kong Bundy.
No, sir.
Yeah. Fuck.
Earthquake. Avalanche. Shark. Typhoon.
No, let's see. Fuck.
No, it's not fuck.
Is it Big John Studd?
No.
Fuck.
JYD.
No. JYD's back in I think he might be back in
he's
NWA by then.
He was gone. Yeah.
One of the Rougeaus.
No.
Davey Boy
Bret Hart.
Smith.
No, sir.
Dynamite.
Nope.
Jim Neihard.
No, sir.
Snuka.
Nope.
Morocco.
No.
Bob Backlund.
No.
It's not. Is it Coco?
No.
S.C. Jones.
No, sir.
Iron Mike Sharp.
Let's
Nope.
see. It's not
Brooklyn Brawler.
Nope.
It's not Billy Graham, huh? For some strange reason. Okay.
Axe. Smash. Crush.
Crush wasn't there. Let's see. Fuck.
IRS.
No. Don't say it. Is it Snuka?
I said Snuka.
Oh, nope. Damn. 89. It's not the Texas Tornado, huh?
No.
Adonis.
No, when I say it,
Ventura.
When I finally say it,
don't
the
say
thing
it.
about the person that is listed, it's not anyone like the other 10 people if you include Savage. You would be like, oh yeah, easy. You know, WWF. Those are WWF people, and I remember that time period. When I say him, it would be when I say this name, you would be like, what?
The Blue Blazer.
Ronnie Garvin.
No.
Ron Bass.
Nope.
Let's see.
Sabisco.
No.
Is it Double A or fucking Tully?
Ooh, Dusty Rhodes.
No.
Fuck. Oh God. Let's see. Don't say it. God damn.
He is an African American man.
Bad News Brown.
Yep.
Well, there you go. The Ghetto Blaster.
If I wouldn't have told y'all that, you'd have never got it.
No.
Because it's like
You played the race card, and there we were.
I wasn't a race card. I give you a hint.
You seen that fucking promo he did with the Possums, where he's like, I went and got some New York sewer rats, and he's pulling out the possums, and it's like, you're You never seen that promo?
Okay, so I'd be remiss if I didn't ask what your position on possums was, because some people really like them and some people really hate them. So where does Harper stand on possums?
Oh, I don't bother. They don't bother me. I mean, I see them all the time at night. They're all over the place.
No, he's not asking you if they bother you. He wants to know if you shoot them, cook them, clean them.
Oh, no, man. It's like eating a cat. I almost petted one once, dude. Years ago, I worked for Domino's, bro, and it's fucking nighttime, right? And I go to this door, I go ring the doorbell, and I say, and it's fucking dark, you know, the porch light's not on. And you know how some people feed their cat fucking outside, they got a bowl of food or something. I say, okay, look, there's the cat sitting there fucking eating. I go, what's up, cat? I go reach down to pet him. It was a goddamn possum eating the fucking cat food. I fucking almost touched that fucking thing, dude. I thought it was a fucking cat.
Nice. Doc, any follow-up questions on that one?
Well, possums are funny because a lot of people are like, man, they eat a lot of bugs and they help kind of clean up the environment. But man, them things are gross, man.
Yeah, I wouldn't fuck with one.
Yeah, they got them sharp teeth too.
Mm-hmm.
They're like land gars or some shit, man. We had a dog bring one in the house once.
Oh God!
Since you've been married?
Huh?
Since you've been married, like one of the dogs, one of your dogs, like recently? I mean, since you've been married, I say recently.
Well, I've been married for almost 15 years, so define recently. But it was in a different house before we had kids. But the dogs that you knew that are no longer alive, yes, one of them brought a possum in, and it played. And it got scared, and it was a baby, and it played possum. And my wife LaFonda thought it was one of their little stuffed animal toys, and almost stepped on it. And I was in the other room and heard this screaming.
Broads.
And was like, that can't be. Whatever this is not good.
Good God. Nice.
So I just got the shop vac out, took the lid off, and scooped it up in a bucket and took it outside, and it took off.
Okay. All right. So, all right.
But I never crossed my mind to punch it. I guess that should have been my first thing to think about was maybe I could just punch this fucker.
Harper was about to pet one. Good Lord.
I thought it was a fucking cat eating the fucking 9 lives, and when I got down there, I was like, whoa, that's a fucking possum. And it turned around.
Meow, 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 meow.
Yeah.
Meow, 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 meow.
I thought it was Morris, bro.
What did it turn around and do?
It's just like, hey, what's up, bro? It didn't even fucking run off or nothing. It'll just, hey, what's up, man?
If you get those things worked up, they'll hiss at you.
Yeah, fuck that, man.
Okay.
I don't want to. Fuck that. You gotta go get fucking rabies shots and shit.
For real.
All right.
They're
well, I guess
we need we need a wild kingdom with Harper's show. That's
I might draw some money.
Harper's like a suburban version of Steve Irwin and shit battling.
Well, they're the only North American marsupials. It's impossible.
See, that's the kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff people need to know on this show.
You're only North American marsupials.
See that? You just learned something.
Doc, you got to listen to the Jericho episode that dropped today. They got some Bigfoot guy on there. It's pretty interesting, actually. It's not outlandish. It's not crazy. He's actually he comes across as a very smart person, and he wrote this book about the Patterson Gilman film for Bigfoot. It's a real good episode. But this guy's not out there. He's not crazy like that one guy who Jericho had on who was a Bigfoot dude. Jesus Christ, a while back if you remember that one. But anyway, we're gonna get ready to get out of here. First off, I want to mention the Wrestling Podcast About Nothing with ROH's Brian Malonis, Mike Crockett. They do their show every single Monday. And then also, after you check out them on their feed, make sure you listen to Our Vantage Point, the Retro Wrestling Podcast run by Joe Murata and Michael Quinn, as they give their take on the northern side of pro wrestling's history. Slightly classier and definitely more professional than us. So thank you, Joe and Quinn, for all your plugs. But seriously, check out those two shows. They're doing a lot of classic stuff these days, and we think you would enjoy them. Harper, by the time this airs, Wildcat would have taken place, so we won't really plug that. We plugged it last week. But do us a favor, go join the Facebook group. Just search Booking the Territory, the Unprofessional Wrestling Podcast, and join it. And all the shenanigans going on there. Follow us on Twitter.
Well, they got two of them, don't you, huh?
Two of them what?
Booking the Territory, Facebooks?
Well, there's the actual page, and then there's the group, which the group is full of filth and utter filthiness. Say it.
That's the one I like.
I know you do, because that's the one where people can post. But it's a great page, so come join us. Lots of utter shenanigans and disgust that, come along with being a fan of this show, in my personal opinion. But check it out and like us, and then follow us on Twitter at BTT_podcast, at Mike504Saints, at CJHWhodat. And then buy some T-shirts. We would appreciate it. Well, there you go. Harper, you got anything before we get out of here?
No, sir.
Doc, you got anything?
I'll be back from special assignment for BTT Insider Business next week, so I'll be back in the studio.
Great. It sounds like a plan. You won't be on the moon. We can actually understand and hear what you're saying. That's going to be splendid to experience again. So, Harper, we don't have anything else, man. Hit the tagline. Take us home.
Book it, bitch.
Thank you to all the patrons out there. We appreciate you being a patron each and every month for Booking the Territory Pro Wrestling Podcast and making this show possible twice a week with the Smoky Mountain Review Show and the NWA Show. And a special shout out to all of the Hall of Fame patrons: Marlon Mealer, Josh Warren, Everett, Star, Mike Childry, K_Row86, Disrespectfully Classy, Marky Blassie, Jeffrey, Craig Norman, Johnny on Patreon, the great John Dean, at YRC21, Josh Dunn, at Ryan in Auburn, good old Justin, Robert Smith, Joseph Ice, Tim Arechi, the BTT, what am I looking for, Tim? The BTT Research Department, there you go. Adam Price, Brian Evans, Mark Wilson, Armando Martinez, David Jordan, Jesse Jacobs, Josh Fields, Chris Myers, Gerald Green, Mitchell Johnson, Mike Pru, Will Parker, Jeremy Bryant, Classy Alex, Slider91 US, David DeVries, Frog Zeppelin, SV Pagem, Bill Salsa, Big Rich, at Spyboy Sports Cap, Ari Miller 39, Dustin Roberts, Jay Shiny 21, Ruben Espinoza, and Merciless Jones. Jesse Lucas, Chris Browning, Justin _Andretti, Coleman822, Marty Howell, and T-Hog94. Thank you for being Hall of Fame patrons. There's a lot of you out there now, and I definitely appreciate you being Hall of Fame patrons. So thank you very much. And also, before I get out of here, you heard Doc earlier in the show mention the Bottom Line cast. So check out my buddy Mike Pru as they go through the career of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Him and his buddy JV break down the career of Stone Cold month by month on a weekly basis. I believe now they are up to 1998. Could be wrong, but go back and check out their 1996, 97 episodes. Or just dive in on the most current episode and enjoy. New episodes, they come out every single Wednesday on all their platforms. So there you go. Check it out. Mike Pru's show, The Bottom Line Cast. You can also follow them on Twitter at Bottom Line Cast. That's all I have. Thanks again to all the patrons out there, and I hope you enjoyed this week's show.